the thing that is blocking you from connecting relationally, for the most part, is fear.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's rooted in some truth, like you got burned, you got hurt, but it's still fear.
Right.
Just because one person hurt you or said something mean or turned their back or stabbed you in the back doesn't mean that's how all humans are. You live and learn, but you have to keep trying if you want to be healthy,
right?
If you want to live 5-star life. Welcome back to the 5-Star Life Show. I'm your host, Coach Seth, and I'm joined in studio with my amazing co-host, Coach Mia.
Hello, Seth. It feels like it's been a long time since
does.
we've been together.
It does. It's only been, what, maybe 2 weeks, maybe a week and a half?
Probably,
but it feels like a month.
It does feel long.
Yeah. And we just recorded. So when we record our podcast and our radio show, we also, almost all the time, we come in fresh off of a recording with kids. And, you know, listening audience can probably appreciate this. You ever have just like a tough day in the office? That's what I feel like I had when we were recording. It's just one of those tough recordings. Like the content was really good, but for whatever reason, you can be doing your work, but some days it just feels heavier or more difficult, like you're walking through sludge. That's kind of how I felt. So, you know, hopefully this doesn't have that same effect.
It's not going to.
So bear with me today, folks.
Do you feel like, can you attribute anything to those days, or it's just like, they're just those days?
You know what? It's just today, it was just one of those days. It was weird because in my mind, I came in like pumped, like ready to go. I was all prepped and ready. I was so prepared. Is there a thing of being too prepared? I don't think so. But maybe I was just a little too relaxed. I was like, oh, I got this.
You're too confident.
Yeah. Is too much confidence a bad thing? I don't know. Maybe it got me this time. So no, it was, you should see the behind. We have to do like an outtake of the behind the scenes of some of these challenging days where everybody's like, no, we gotta do that again, Seth. That was bad. We gotta try it again. So it was fun. But if you just tuned in, you're like, what is this all about? Go to 5starlife.org and learn more about the mission that we're on to change culture by targeting kids' mindsets. We're doing so many good things that are happening, and we're having massive impact. We started 18, going on 19 years ago. And we started with programs that were just focused on reaching kids after school. And what happened is we had so much success, we started to grow into new areas and more areas. And now we're reaching kids in detention centers. We have a 350-acre training facility that we have summer program going on every day of the week in the summer. We have so many things going on, from sports programs to outreaches to schools, after school, during school. We just have encapsulated everything you can think about in the ways of reaching kids. You can learn more at 5starlife.org. And I want to encourage you to do something. If you are listening to this on radio, I want to remind you that you can listen to this show in many different forms. So we now have taken this radio show and produced a podcast. So any platform podcasts are played on, listened to, you can find the 5-Star Life Show with Coach Seth there. Look it up and just subscribe to it and like it and then share it. Secondly, we are now on like TV. So we have cameras here. We're on, like, you can go to YouTube. So go to our 5-Star Life YouTube channel. So you can actually look at our faces if you want to.
We're not really on TV.
Well, we
Are we?
Thanks for raining my parade. I feel like we're on TV, man. I kind of feel it. The cameras are here. I feel like I'm on TV.
He's so positive.
So,
that's what I love about Seth.
You know what? Some people be watching this on their TVs because you have YouTube on your TV. Others, you'll be doing it on your phone. It's all good. Mm-hmm. Neither here nor there, but so glad you tuned in. I want to encourage you to check us out online and get involved. If you're like a familiar listener, get involved, volunteer. We'll talk more about ways you can do that, but go to 5starlife.org.
All right. What are we going to learn today?
So we are going to break down this lesson because we started a new series. So this whole theme this year is breakthrough. just helping kids break through barriers, these things that hold them back, that have plagued them for years. We've designed curriculum to help them get to the next level. And this whole series, a 7-lesson series, is about helping them break through in their social life. And social life, when you hear those words, there's a lot of different connotations because a lot of people think differently. Some people think of things in terms of, romantic or physical attraction. And so, there's kids that are, it's funny because when we were doing this lesson in the studio, there's no teenagers in the studio. So when I said, you're thinking about this romantically and you're thinking, man, I got game, I got Riz, I'm dripping with Riz. I'm just curious if our listening audience, if you know what Riz is. And my guess is that about 1% of those of you who are 40 and older, if you have no kids, I'm going to say 1% know what Riz is. I'm going to say if you're a millennial and you're between 20 and 32, you probably still are in the game. You know what Riz is. But Riz is just that's your game. Like I got some game with the opposite sex. I'm attractive. I know it. I'm good in communication. I'm dripping with Riz. So
these kids and their words. I didn't know what it was.
I have teenagers. I my whole focus is on youth culture, so I have to know some of these things. So anyways, some people are like, yeah, I got Riz. Other people are like, social life. You're laughing in the inside because maybe you've never really had one. And there's a ton of kids that are in that category. Like they don't have a social life. Technology has taken over. And a lot of times technology becomes the replacement for interaction with peers. So there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of kids and a lot of people that when they think of social life, it just brings a little bit of anxiety because like that social interaction piece, there is a lot of fear involved from maybe people that picked on you as a kid or made fun of you. I know kids who they have had health issues, and so they were so self-conscious about the way they looked, or they somehow thought people knew that there was something wrong with them, and so they just imagined people were looking at them judgmentally, when in reality people didn't know anything and were just looking at them.
So much is in our head when it comes to social interactions.
Yes, it's a very interesting. It's a little bit of a game. It's a mental game. And so, this whole series, it's designed to break down all things that I just mentioned, to break all those things down for kids in a way they can understand and then start to experience success. Research is really clear, though. Like connections are huge. So when we started 5-Star Life, we're going to start our 19th year here in a little bit. And when we started, I came across a report that you can actually find this on the Department of Justice website to this day. It was a study that was done called Hardwired to Connect. And what the report did is it focused on a two-pronged crisis. First, the high and really fast-growing problem and epidemic of mental health issues, of anxiety, of depression, of suicidal ideation, all these issues that related to youth culture in the U.S. And the second thing that it addressed was the horrible manner in which youth-serving organizations and psychotherapy were coaching kids and coaching families in how to deal with it. They rarely addressed the single greatest part of the problem: connectedness. Relational connectedness, according to research, is the root issue when it comes to these things. The lack of relational connections.
That's interesting. So
what we did is we just told kids, listen, there is so much research that goes into this whole study. And there are so many, for instance, kids who are a part of a sports team, a club, a part of a play, a theater, or are part of a band, any kind of a organized social institution, if they're a part of it, there's so many data studies that prove kids who are part of those things, socially connected, their grades are better, their mental health is better, they have less anxiety, less depression, like they don't take their own lives. It's all about social connection. And so on top of that, there are a ton of health benefits that when we come back from our break, I want to break down. So this whole idea of breaking through in your social life, even for adults, there's so many people that live far beneath the way we were designed to live, and that's being connected relationally. And there are a lot of health benefits I'll break down a little bit. Just a reminder before we break, go to 5-Star Life. If you're not driving, go to 5starlife.org. Check out our website. Get involved volunteering, donating sometime soon.
Did you know that you can bring the values, lessons, and mindsets Coach Seth discusses on the 5-Star Life podcast to your local community? Schools are searching for programs and content that work. Just a simple introduction to your teacher or principal could be a game changer in your community. Inquire at 5starlife.org and someone from our team will be in touch.
Welcome back to the 5-Star Life Show. I'm your host, Coach Seth, and I'm joined in studio with my incredible co-host, Coach Mia.
Thank you, Seth.
So we're talking about social connection. We're talking about breaking through, helping kids who are glued to their phones, to Netflix, to technology. It has officially replaced social interaction, human interaction. And that is a major problem because according to a study that I cited in the first segment, go back and listen to it. By the way, if you just tuned in, go to 5starlife.org to learn more about what we're doing. And that's a great reminder. Is that my computer?
That's
my
you.
Goodness. Way to go. It's just one of those days for me. It's just one of those days. Sorry about that, y'all. So want to encourage you to go check out our website, get involved. And just a reminder, you can listen to this show on any podcast platform. You can also watch this show on TV, YouTube channel. Right, Mia? It's TV.
No comment.
So you can watch this on our YouTube page. Go to 5-Star Life, and it will be there. You can see our faces and see our guests. It's a little more interactive for those of you who like to see visually. So we're talking about social interaction, the importance of it, and there are a ton of health benefits. So get this. When kids don't have healthy connections as teens, their mental health deteriorates. Right? It's a big deal. So we talked about the different parts of the research and how this helps, but the University of Utah did a study. It showed that people who were engaged in connected, loving relationships were people that healed quicker from sickness or injury. I mean, think about that. It's just like a healing quality of being connected. They lived longer. They had lower stress, so that also relates to anxiety. Also, they measured blood pressure. Their blood pressure was better. Additionally, they had a better immune system, had better heart health, were physically more fit, and ultimately felt less pain, which is crazy. It was
crazy.
A pain reliever. So being connected actually relieves pain. They did this crazy study where they artificially created pain. They hooked two people up to had their brains being scanned, and the one person was going to be going through pain, and they had a person hold their hand that was in a connected, loving relationship, and that person holding their hand was like a pain reliever. Now they also did that when they just flashed pictures of beautiful people or whatever up there. And it had nothing to do with like seeing beauty or being attracted to somebody. Had nothing to do with attraction. It had everything to do with a relationship and somebody being there physically comforting you.
What did they say about the human touch? That, you know what I mean? We all crave it and we all need it.
We all need, so it really went down into this next level of talking about, so if we know scientifically that we are hardwired to be connected relationally, that we really, if you want to live a 5-star life and you want to thrive, relationships are a part of the repertoire, period. So if we know that, then why are so few people connected relationally, and why are so many people isolated and lonely? Fear. We have so many different fears that hold us back. There are kids who I know who have health issues, who those health issues have somehow convinced them that other people know they have health issues, that other people look at them can tell there's something wrong with them, or that somehow if it's a physical defect, are looking at them judgmentally. And so they believe the lie that I've just got to protect myself, and I've got to emotionally protect myself. And then there's people who, you know, I've talked to adults about this too, you know, growing up in a home that's just dirty. You never have a sleepover. You never have a birthday party. You grew up never inviting anybody over because you're embarrassed of your house, right? So there's this fear that people find out where you're from, what neighborhood you live in, or for others, it's just like the way you're dressed. People made fun of your clothing or your body shape. And so people in that category just emotionally, for a coping mechanism, started to shut down to protect themselves from whatever they felt was a threat from other people.
It's such a lie too. You know, this fear. I was thinking back to, because I grew up poor, like in the hood, and our house wasn't very nice. And I remember in high school, you know, when you get to high school, you're in a whole different, you know, class of people. And there were people with a lot of means. And I had over a friend, and I was just like, you know, like her parents were going away. Like she had nowhere to go. So she came to my house and she was like, oh, that was the best night of my sleep. I love being with your family. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like you have this beautiful mansion. And here we are in the hood. But, you know, I thought, so, okay, there it is. No need to be afraid and scared and,
yeah,
you know.
Yes. And there's these different stages of learning. And for kids, it's like, make sure you understand that the thing that is blocking you from connecting relationally, for the most part, is fear. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's rooted in some truth, like you got burned, you got hurt, but it's still fear.
Right.
Just because one person hurt you or said something mean or turned their back or stabbed you in the back doesn't mean that's how all humans are. You live and learn, but you have to keep trying if you want to be healthy,
right?
If you want to live a 5-star life. So this whole idea of breaking through fear is a big deal. There's a whole other category of people too, though. There are a ton of people listening to this show, and there are a ton of kids that go through our curriculum or in 5-star that they're not on the end of poverty or on bad experiences. They're popular. They have a whole crowd of friends. They may have a gazillion followers on social media, but in reality, they're just as lonely as the next person, because they don't feel like they truly have friends they can trust. So they are just as isolated. And so what we talk about is you can be in the middle of a crowd, you can have lots of followers, be popular, but still be lonely. And so what we do is we just break down the fact that if you want to thrive and live a 5-star life, you've got to break through fear. You can break through loneliness, and you can be connected relationally. But it's going to take some courage, which is one of our 5-star values, which we define as having the strength to do what's right rather than what's popular or comfortable. Right now, it's really popular to connect online. It's really popular to fill the relational void that we have. It's very popular to fill that void with busyness, with entertainment, with something that maybe gives you a dopamine hit. There's chemicals released when you have intimate relationships. And intimacy, that word freaks us out because it's really misused. We often just think of like physical attraction or physical presence, but it's like there's emotional intimacy. There's physical intimacy, but there's also mental intimacy and intellectual intimacy where you just connect. And intimacy is just, it truly is connection. And the way we break down connection for kids is just when you get to experience what it feels like to deeply know and care about somebody. And when they deeply know and care about you, that's intimacy. That's connection. And the question that we've got to ask ourselves is, do we have, you don't need a gazillion of those people, but do you have people that deeply care about you and deeply know you? Or do you just have surface friends, acquaintances on social media and in real life? You just talk about the weather, you just talk about the game, and those are all fine. Those are all fine. But to truly thrive in life, it requires a level of intimate relationship, which requires vulnerability. Like it requires you letting people know what's going on in your life and them letting you know what's going on in their life, and you actually care about each other. That is where, and the important things that you value in life, that you can have those deeper conversations, right? That's intimacy.
You know what, though, too? I think some people get stuck, though, on that word, like this deep intimacy. And it's caring. It's checking on somebody, but it's also sharing. So,
yeah. And that's what we tell kids. It's very simple. It can be just that one trusted friend or adult or parent. Again, the studies are very clear. You can be 14 years old and it's an uncle or an aunt, or a mentor who's one of your closest friends. All right, we got to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with more after this. Go to 5starlife.org on the break.
Five Star Life is a not-for-profit organization dedicated to changing the face of culture by changing kids' mindsets. Since 2005, we've impacted hundreds of thousands of lives thanks to the generous support of individuals, small businesses, corporations, and foundations. Are you interested in helping Five Star Life grow into all 50 states? With your donation or introduction, you can help bring Five Star Life to your community, school, and state. Go to 5starlife.org and send us an email today. That's FIVESTARLIFE.org.
Welcome back to the 5 Star Life Show. I'm your host, Coach Seth, and I'm joined in studio with my co-host, Coach Mia.
Thanks, Seth. We're having a really good conversation.
We're having a good conversation. Yeah. I mean, you think about the power of relationships, which we're doing this series for our 5 Star Life schools and kids and detention centers, a series all about helping them break through from loneliness and isolation into an awesome social life, into being relationally connected, which the previous segments we've broken down all the health benefits of doing that. But there are so many things that are so simple that we can do to connect relationally, but it really is fear that holds us back. And it's so interesting. I have a relative who he is in his 60s, and early on he made some decisions that relationships were too tough, and so just keep it on the surface and just isolate yourself and be alone. And it's heartbreaking to watch a family member choose a lifestyle, right? Choose a lifestyle. And so in his later years, as his health deteriorated, you have no relationships. You haven't invested in too many people. And so there's not many people around that come to visit you. And it's like heartbreaking to watch. But you could see that was the life that he chose. And it's something that's heartbreaking and so unnecessary. But if he could have addressed the reasons that he was afraid to connect with people, and what we as men do, we find fault in other people. Well, I'm not going to be they're to this or they're to that. We find some negative thing to pinpoint, and that's our excuse that I'd rather be myself at home. I just right.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, you said men, but It's everybody.
I was just speaking from a male perspective.
Yeah, women do it too.
Yeah, so you can nitpick, and that's your excuse not to connect. So we self-sabotage like crazy. There are people that I believe God brings into our life, and they are an opportunity to bring you to a higher level in life and in connection and just feeling loved and accepted. And I did some deep dives on some of this stuff, and I'm telling you what, people who are relationally connected like this, they end up more physically fit. Why? Because they're around people that say, hey, nice outfit. Hey, you look good today. And what does that positive reinforcement do? It causes you to want to think about, hey, maybe I'll look at another outfit.
Yeah.
Or, hey, maybe I'll go to the gym and work out. Hey, you look good. You lose weight. No, but maybe I'll think about trying. That's what connection does. That's what relationships do. Mm-hmm. So there's so much power in this. And, we're just outside my office, and I have a few pictures that I keep in my office. 3 pictures of kids who are no longer with us, sadly, because they've passed away. And 2 out of the 3 are pictures of kids who took their own lives. And they took their lives because they lacked connection. They believed the lie that nobody cares, that nobody understands me, that things will never change. In reality, both of them, I was at both of their funerals and wakes, and they were packed with people, friends, people that loved them, that wanted to support them, but because they believed this lie that nobody understands, that nobody really accepts me. But it really, what it was, the truth, is that they never allowed themselves to be vulnerable. They never allowed themselves to be loved or to be accepted, because it takes 2.
Right.
You can have people that support you and love you, but if you don't open yourself up, you will never be able to receive. And so it really becomes a lot about just receiving love and acceptance and allowing yourself to be loved and accepted and not being too afraid to let them in on some of your life.
And I think you said it before too, not everybody is going to hurt you, but a lot of people want to love you.
And it's very intuitive. I mean, we don't need a whole lot of research probably to pinpoint the people that are not trustworthy that you don't go there with. But I would guess 99% of the people listening to this who maybe this is hitting a nerve, and you are thinking, I just don't know who I can trust. If you just sit for a second, I think you do know who those people are. It's that person at work. It's that family member. It's that old friend that you haven't reached out, that you haven't pursued. Maybe they were always the one that pursued you, and maybe you just refused to go there, and so they went somewhere else. Mm-hmm. There is always, trust me, it's so simple. We know this intuitively, who we can trust. But if you don't take the step of being vulnerable, but your life is always perfect, you're always good, you're always you're a self-sustained individual, you will never, ever get to experience the joy and the love that comes with true friendship, true community, true connection.
Yeah. Can you think back to a time that you had to make that choice?
Man, I think so. I had people in my life that coached me on it. I had people that told me, I think I was 19, and I remember at a friend that just said, Seth, you're pretty guarded. And I was like, what does that mean? They're like, well, you just, I have a couple people that just said, you're kind of intimidating to talk to because you always seem to have it together, all together, and you just seem like you don't need anybody. And I was like, that's interesting, because I don't feel like I have it all together, and I don't feel like I don't need anybody. But it was just, I think that brought some self-awareness to me, like, if I want to develop friendships and relationships, and I have friends, right? But it was just a reminder to me of hey, pay attention to how you come across and make sure you let people in by not just sharing what's good in your life, but maybe share also some of the challenges sometimes. That's a way to connect. I mean, now we're talking about just how do you connect with people.
Right.
And, there's a great saying that we lead people through our strengths, right? You lead people through your strengths, but you connect with people through your weaknesses. I think there's a lot of truth to that. Like, people often feel more connected when, like if they're listening to this show and all I do is share how amazing I am and how perfect I am and how I've got the solution for everything, like, that's helpful if I have actual solutions. But I think the ones that are more powerful are probably when I'm talking about the challenges I'm having at home, or maybe a realistic situation in marriage or at work or whatever, or maybe opening up the show by saying it was just a tough, it was like a tough day in the office where I just couldn't get my words right. It's like, he's human. There's a connection there. And I think that has helped me when I'm vulnerable with people that I can trust. There's connection. That's helped me. How about you?
Gosh, I was thinking back to that. Yeah, I think so. Especially after being hurt. And then you're like, gosh, I'm not going to go to any more women's groups. I'm not going to any Bible studies. I'm not doing anything. And then you're in a situation, you're like, okay, here I am. Now what? So I don't know. I guess you just learn. Yeah. And you do. You know the ones. And you don't tell everybody everything right off the bat. But you can share some things. Right. So.
Yep. Yeah. So it's cool. I mean, even like our Five Star Life staff, there's a very cool culture where people at differing levels based on how long you've been here. Like Arnold, by the way, Arnold is back here. We're going to bring him out at some point. He's our producer. But there's differing levels of connection and differing levels of vulnerability. But what we're trying to teach kids is take a step towards being vulnerable with people you can trust. And you're going to be amazed at the connection you feel, because when you share something that's maybe, Mia shared something the other day, a groundhog got up in her engine of her vehicle. And it's just funny, like just sharing things that went on that are wacky or weird, it creates connection. It's just kind of weird and kind of funny. And it's just like I felt, as Mia was sharing that, I felt more connected to Mia. It's the strangest thing, but I think people don't understand what I'm talking about. Yeah. So that's the challenge. Is you think about the richness of your life. We're filming this right now during summertime. We just finished the 4th of July holiday, and there's a lot of people that had incredible experiences over the 4th with family and friends, and there's a lot of people that it was almost like a surfacey experience. And you see other people that are connecting, and you see other people posting, and you see all these awesome community building gatherings, and you just feel like you're on the outside looking in. And I want to encourage you, that doesn't have to be your story, and it's not the way you're meant to live. So a little courage, a little vulnerability with the people that you're close to will go a long way. We got to take a break. We'll come back right after this.
5 Star Life offers year-round programs for kids at our 350-acre training facility that we call Summit. These programs focus on 3 core components. First, each program includes lessons from our curriculum that targets kids' mindset. Secondly, each program teaches a skill like equine, archery, blacksmithing, basketball, fishing, boating, and many more. Thirdly, our programs connect kids to mentors we call coaches, who are trained to help kids live a 5-star life. Go to 5starlife.org to learn more or sign up your kids.
Welcome back to the 5 Star Life Show. I'm your host, Coach Seth, and I'm joined in studio with my co-host, Coach Mia. So, this show has been a lot of fun. We're talking about social interaction, social connectedness. The social life of kids is just being decimated by technology, by the entertainment industry, and we're not at all on the side of technology is evil, but it's being hijacked by a lot of profitable entities that are actually changing the whole social dynamic for kids. And so, we're really excited about teaching kids how to connect and engage relationally and the benefits of those social connections. But all this stuff, I've got a whole stack of surveys from a program we do with kids who've gotten into some minor trouble, and they and their parents attend our SNAP leadership program, a dynamic program, so powerful. And the amazing thing about this program, we just are celebrating our 1-year anniversary right now, which is awesome. And the parent feedback is crazy because the content is, created for kids, but the parents consistently get even more than the kids get out of it, right? And we've been doing this for 18 years with kids. So kids are getting stuff, but the parents, because of their experiences, because of where they're at in life, it's like they're sponges just absorbing this content. And so if you're listening to this, I really want to encourage you, would you do us a favor? And would you do your community a favor? Listen, if you want to have impact, share this show with somebody else. If you're listening on the radio, you can listen to this anywhere podcasts are played. You can also watch this on YouTube. So you can go to our 5-Star Life YouTube channel and you can go through and look at these different shows. And you can, either way, share this with your friends and family. Maybe you're thinking of people you have in mind. Share it with them. You can share it through text, through email. We make it so easy. Really want to encourage you, though, with the podcast, with YouTube, just subscribe to the channel so you automatically get updates when we release a new show. That is a way to pay it forward to impact people in your sphere of influence. The second thing I'm going to ask you to do, if you think the content we're talking about would be helpful for the kids in your community, you need to make an introduction to your local school and make sure they're aware of 5-Star Life. And you can reach out to us. We'll walk you through how to do that. It's super simple, but it's amazing how far a warm relationship goes. If you know a teacher, a social worker, a principal, somebody in the school, it's amazing how if you introduce something to them, how they will look at it and say, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And one person making that connection and referral to a principal, we have so many connections that have happened that way where we're now having major impact. Like every kid in that school now is getting the impact of 5-Star just because of an introduction. So you can reach out to us at 5starlife.org and we'd love to hear from you and love for you to really help us scale. You think about, Mia, the first segment, we broke down the crisis in education, the crisis in our society. And the study that I cited, the Hardwired to Connect study, is from 2003. So it's 20 years old. And it was highlighting 20 years ago the rapid increase in anxiety, depression, suicide ideation, drug use, all these things. And it was saying at the core of it was relational. It referred to it as connected communities. Or authoritative communities. And what these authoritative communities did is it gave kids an environment to create connection and grow and interact and learn how to interact, where they were loved and supported. That's the whole basis of 5-Star Life. That's what 5-Star Life does. Mm-hmm. So the very solution that they're prescribing is exactly what 5-Star Life has created.
And here we are.
Yeah, and you can deliver that to a school or community near you. So this is, getting back, I want to just wrap this up because I think there's some people listening that they're thinking about their own lives, their own relationships. And, me and my wife are in a busy stage. Like we are busy. And it's so easy to, as a marriage, and we've talked about this a lot, it's so easy when kids come along is you have this intimate relationship that no longer is intimate. Right? You're just busy with 3 kids and with school schedules and with travel sports schedules. It's like crazy where all of a sudden that intimate relationship, if you don't nurture it, it grows apart. Mm-hmm. And so you have 2 people that are lonely and isolated living in the same home. And you can be busy in work life and you can have the same thing. You're just busy.
Right.
And you don't ever have true relationship connectedness with people. Even though you get lots of relationships, but very little connection.
And if you do not, or if you're not self-aware, number one, for yourself, and then with your partner, I mean, it's a train wreck.
Yes. Because
you do have to see that, what you need, but what do they need? And to take that time and to, come back to that intimacy. That's good.
Yeah. And so for me, I'm a driven visionary. I'm moving forward. And I literally woke up one day like, what the heck is wrong with my marriage? Mm-hmm. Like, we just got used to being ships passing.
Right.
And realized, like, this is not good. Like, literally, we won't make it unless we make some changes, right? Because we're not connected. And so we did marriage seminars, we read books together, and we just started to put intention to it. And I think that's what I want to encourage our audience with is it's amazing. It's not rocket science. So many times we get depressed, lonely, and we just think the worst mentally. And then we start to check out. And that's where the downward spiral begins. And I just want to encourage you to check back in and engage, because the solutions and answers are really simple, right?
They are, yeah.
They're all things that we already know. Mm-hmm. It's just, so I want to remind all of you, the things you know, just start to apply again. So it's being vulnerable with that person in your life, reaching out to them, just being a little more intentional. And one thing that I encourage you to do that's beautiful, that has helped my marriage, is making sure that you're in the moment. Mm-hmm. Like, if you have 1 minute, make sure in the moment that 1 minute. If it's a friendship, make sure you're in the moment when you talk to them on the phone. You get a call from either, don't take the call if you can't take the call. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to take the call. And how are you? It's good to hear your voice. What's going on? Talk to me. Enjoy it. Yes, you have more pressure that you'll return to, more things on the agenda. But it's amazing how just the simple act of being fully present in the moment and being engaged, that's one of the keys to human connection.
And for your kids too. With my grandkids, I noticed that probably like a year ago that I'm like, man, I'm not present because, they're crazy and I'm like half listening, but it's like they know. And this summer I've tried to be intentional to be present, when I'm with them. So, and people change. They love it. Mm-hmm. And I love it. It's fun.
Yeah. And one of the things is just watching. Like, I just like to watch my kids. I just like to just going to look in and just, instead of just walking through, I'm just going to look at them. Walk through the room. Just the simple things. I feel connected just by being in their presence. Mm-hmm. It's a wonderful thing. All right. If this show has been helpful, has been encouraging, I really want to encourage you, if you're on the podcast, if you're on YouTube, would you leave a comment letting us know you loved it or it was horrible and we needed to do it better? I want your feedback. That's how we actually do improve. We want topic suggestions. We want interaction. We want connection. That's what we want. So please like this. Please subscribe to this. Please share this. Before we go, though, Mia, we have some fun things coming up. Mm-hmm. There's some simple ways for people in our local community where our organization was founded in the Midwest, in Indiana. We have a fundraiser coming up. August 28th. It's a Monday. It is our 5-Star Life Golf Open. It is a blast. It's a great venue. Everybody tells us that it's like their favorite event they play in. Like the golfers who love this, they say it's their favorite golf outing. We do this double pin scramble that is mesmerizing and challenging and fun. And we just have a great time. We always bring in some special guests as well. It's going to be a great time. It's at the South Bend Country Club again this year. Beautiful venue. They do a great job of hosting us.
They do. We love it.
So you can register online if you want. We still have a few sponsorships available as well. We have a ton of incredible returning sponsors that return every year just to support the event. So grateful for them. But we have a few openings. Be sure to check it out. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for subscribing, for sharing, and for getting involved at 5starlife.org.
At 5-Star Life, we are changing the face of culture through education and sports by changing the most important piece of a human being's life, their mindset. If you are interested in being a part of our journey, please visit 5starlife.org for more information on volunteer and donation opportunities.